This is Flat Out Agility, an Australian agility podcast. I'm Grace. Recently, I attended the Australian Agility Nationals in Brisbane, Queensland. It's the largest agility event in Australia, and of course the largest I've ever been to. I travelled from Darwin with my dog Topaz to compete, and I learnt a lot from the experience. It made me reflect on competition, mindset, and community. So, what is it like to attend Agility Nationals? It's very exciting, and the atmosphere is really unique. The venue for 2026 was Dogs Queensland, with 7 rings running simultaneously. Before I went, looking at the map, I thought it seemed really large and impractical to get around, but that didn't end up being the case. While it was a large venue, all the rings were actually very close together, so it wasn't hard to move from one to another. The Nationals used Top Dog Events as its management platform, and the feature called My Day made it really easy to see where each ring was up to in the running order. The stewards were also prepared for handlers arriving late and fitting them in where possible. Overall, the event was extremely well organised and, from my perspective, pretty seamless. Top Dog Events and the competitor Facebook group were how I was able to stay across everything. What I enjoyed most about the event was the experience of being totally immersed in agility for a whole week. It felt really special to be around like-minded people, watching them run their dogs at all different skill levels over all different courses, as well as being around dog-savvy people who respected boundaries and managed their dogs appropriately. It was really enriching to be able to indulge in agility for so long all at once, and to think about it and talk about it for a whole week, and be around people who you know care about it as much as you. I met a lot of really kind and interesting people from all over Australia, and I enjoyed interviewing people for the previous episode about Nationals. The first day was Teams Day, which I had the fortune of running in with handlers and dogs from Tasmania and New Zealand. We came dead last, but somebody has to, and we gave it a solid go. Days 2 and 4 were games and heats, so each day had an agility and a jumping heat and one of the games. The games were one-offs, so the winners were the champions of the event in those classes. Day 5 was Open Day, which included 3 open jumping and 3 open agility heats. This day was particularly well organised, splitting all entrants into groups that rotated around the 6 rings all day. It made it very easy to know where you needed to be. Day 6 was the finals day, which was for anyone invited to compete in finals based on results from the heats. Finals competitions don't include qualifications, just placings. So how did I prepare for Nationals? As I said, I was invited to be on a combination team, which was a real honour, even if I wasn't really at the level to be able to be seriously competitive. My teammates were aware of that, however, so I was willing to give it a go. Knowing that we were entered for teams above our level, I tried really hard to get our skills up to snuff in the 3 months before the Nationals. I focused heavily on trying to get solid stopped contacts and ensuring Topaz could do the seesaw. I also put time into running some master's level courses in the weeks before we left. Despite being interested in agility and learning about it for a long time, I'm still pretty new to this sport. I'm also really new to competition in general. I wasn't a sporty kid, and I've never competed in anything before getting into agility. I've never trained a dog to this level of skill before, and I've never titled a dog before Topaz. Earlier this year was the first time I'd entered a trial outside of the territory, and it went a lot better than expected, which maybe coloured my expectations for Nationals. I went into the Nationals with a lot of passion and a very cool dog, but not a whole lot of experience in this sport or competition in general. Attending the Nationals was, more than anything, an opportunity to live my values in agility, which is not always an easy thing to do. By virtue of having this podcast, I've invited something of an audience, which brings with it some attention, and my dog is also from a litter that is known enough that people sometimes recognise her. Comparisons to littermates may be inevitable for all sport dogs, but it does add a unique layer of attention that I've never experienced before. This higher profile than average for both of us led me to feel pressure to perform and do well and to prove myself. Historically, I don't do super well with pressure, and I'm someone that often feels a lot of regret over my choices. It's something I've grappled with for a long time. Even minor mistakes linger for me. I found the experience of the Nationals to be really mentally taxing, as I needed to be really focused for all the courses we were running, while also being extremely mindful of my dog's experience and trying to model the behaviour that I believe in at trials to ensure I was living up to my values. I found it especially difficult when a run didn't go well, and I replayed each handling mistake in my head over and over again, even if I didn't especially want to keep thinking about it. I think my biggest takeaway from attending nationals was the mindset factor. Being at a large competition did feel confronting in many ways, and our results by the end were not particularly impressive on paper. But as I've said many times before, it's really vital in agility to have other metrics for success. One of the things that becomes really obvious when you attend an event of this size is how hard the sport is overall. While it sometimes seems like everyone is winning and posting their successes and bragging about their achievements, when you look at the live results tick over on top dog events, it's often DQ after DQ after DQ in the list. And that's a stark reminder that actually most runs are not successful and only a small fraction go clear or even with faults. In future, I would aim to put next to no focus on qualifications, placings, or finals at an event like this. I think at a large competition, you need to be protective of your mindset, what you talk about, and who you spend time with. It took me multiple days to realize that we ran better when I just focused on one run at a time and didn't get caught up in the big picture. For where we were at, Topaz and I did okay on Teams Day, and I thought after that it would be all downhill from there as we were back to our regular level. But that didn't end up being the case. The courses were incredibly challenging across the board, more difficult than anything we've done before. Some of our preparation paid off and some of it didn't. Our absolute worst skill was Topaz's dog walk, which did not hold up in a single agility run despite using the practice arena daily. Topaz did extremely well in the environment though, but there was definitely a layer of fatigue that we don't normally experience because we've never done agility that many days in a row. For myself, I didn't feel like I had a really clear head until open day, which is when we performed the best all week. Our biggest achievements of the entire event were coming 10th overall with just one fault in Peter Pupeek's open jumping course, and placing 3rd in 300 novice strategic pairs with Topaz's littermate and her handler. I do wish that Topaz and I had performed more consistently overall, rather than having 1 or 2 good runs, because I think that would have been a better metric for understanding where we're at with training. Instead, I've come away from the event feeling a bit all over the place and without clear improvement areas beyond the very obviously broken dog walk. I saw a lot of really impressive performances from other teams, and sometimes I felt like we held our own, but often I felt that my training was behind. I have a lot more reflecting to do to be able to make some concrete plans to improve and move forward, especially if I want to be competitive at future events. It's important to me that I be mindful of Topaz's experience and try to set her up for a successful trial, which includes resting, social time, warming up and cooling down, and reinforcement routines. In an environment like nationals, I found it difficult to judge when to rest my dog and when to give her social time with me. Sometimes I didn't balance this well, and I think Topaz could have done with more rest. I also didn't consistently perform our warm-up and cool-down routines properly, so this is something I would want to improve in future, including for myself. So, we're not national champions, and we didn't come away with a clear run outside of games. What I learned is the Agility Nationals is a unique event that I think ought to be treated that way. It's not a regular trial, it's an opportunity to embrace taking risks and pushing harder. It's your chance to put all your skills out there and handle things as confidently as you can, not just choosing the safe option. This is the event to focus on each run as a new challenge rather than another qualifying certificate for the tally. Moving forward, what I want to do right now, at this moment, is to just enjoy agility, to stay here, right where we are, and not feel like rushing into the future. Running courses with Topaz is so exciting and rewarding. I'm further along than I've ever been in this sport, so it's all new and it's sometimes a bit scary, but it's also exhilarating. I've talked before about how Topaz's adolescence was rough, in episodes 4, From Foundations to Trialing, and 9, Reflections and Goals for Agility Training and Trialing. So it's important to remind myself that to be where we are is an achievement in itself. I can do things with Topaz that I didn't think I'd ever be able to do. I can handle a lot of complicated and advanced techniques that I didn't know if I'd ever have the right dog for, and I can run difficult courses and still have her keen for more. I can push myself and her because I know that we're both capable and eager. We're drift compatible. We're on the same wavelength. We're a team. Topaz is always willing to try for me. She's all in. She trusts completely that what I have to offer her is worth her time and effort, and that means so much to me. I have a dog that is ready and willing to go with me as far as I want to go. Will learn whatever I'm willing to teach her, and I got so lucky. Topaz owes me absolutely nothing, but she gives me everything she has, and I'm so grateful. This has been Flat Out Agility. Be kind to dogs.